Good afternoon, all, and welcome to day 8. Today, we are going to talk about closing techniques and gaining commitments. So, let's start off with recognize buying or selling signals. It's important that our advisors are trained in order to detect when a client is close to a decision. That can allow you to be aligned exactly what are the next steps or procedures you need to take in order to take the client all the way to the finish line. Signals from buyers might include repeatedly envisioning themselves in the property. For example, you might go for a viewing and they might repeatedly talk about, okay, my sofa set could be placed in this area, or my dining table would fit well over there, or our king size bed might not be adequate for this room, so we need to explore other options, or I can potentially set up a nice study area within this. So when you see clients are envisioning that repeatedly, that means they're very close to finalizing on that property. Asking detailed questions about the process. For example, if they ask you, okay, what are the next steps? Okay, if I'm looking to buy on a mortgage, how do I go about with it? Okay, what happens if the seller accepts my offer? How do we go ahead with the contracts? And what kind of costings I need to keep in mind in order to take it all the way to transferred. So all of those elements signal positive progress, or bringing a family member for a second or a third viewing for that matter. Sometimes clients might come on their own, and then you might see that they bring their wife, their parents, their kids along, and then they come for a third viewing with extended family member. So these are positive signals from their side. From sellers as well, you can identify these signals. Some of them might be about discussing what are the next steps if they accept an offer, discussing potentially, okay, what could they buy into, or what kind of investment could they make post accepting an offer. So they're already analyzing that. Look, okay, fine, if I exit out of this property, it's fully paid up, I get this money in my pocket, but what am I going to do with that money again? So they're talking to you about where could they invest that money. So these are positive signals from there. So timing is very, very, very crucial. Knowing when to close is as important as how to close, because there are times when you can just push the client over the edge in order to conclude, and there are times where you cannot push them too much. So you have to understand and identify those times. Closing strategies. So we're going to present various sales closing techniques and when to use them. Some of the examples are assumptive close. You can act as if the decision is already made. For example, you are with a client and they like the property, they've come with their family, they've asked the right questions, and they're inclined to move ahead. So you go ahead and ask them, shall I prepare the paperwork so we can reserve the unit? This shows willingness. You're not asking them would they like to go ahead or not. You're pushing them, or you're approaching them with the agenda that, look, shall I go ahead and start to work on the paperwork and go ahead and book the unit for you? So this technique assumes readiness and can move a hesitant buyer forward. Urgency close. Create a genuine, not a fake, but create a genuine sense of urgency. Example, highlighting if other interested parties, for example, your client might be interested in a villa and they've seen it multiple times, it fits all the requirements, their family likes it, but you know genuinely that there are three more buyers who have seen it, who are coming again to view it, and who have expressed interest. Tell them about it. By the way, there are other parties as well, and you don't want to then end up being in a bidding war with multiple different parties where it could push the sale price even higher. So create that kind of understanding with them and tell them about it. Or for example, if there is a limited type price incentive for an off-plan launch, for example, there might be one day only offer wherein the developer might say, I'll waive off the DLD fee, or for example, I'll change the payment plan from hefty upfront payment to very less payment during construction timeline of the project. So whatever incentives there might be, genuine ones, utilize them in order to make the client go ahead with the purchase. Summary close. So after you're done with your viewings, after you're done with your client meetings, after you're done with your back and forth discussion, then recap all the features and benefits of the property like that the client liked, linking them to their stated needs, then ask them for the decision. So it seems that this apartment meets all your requirements in terms of location, in terms of view, in terms of ROI, in terms of price, in terms of quality, in terms of proximity to the areas that you want. So then ask for the decision. Shall we proceed with an offer? Now that you've understood the requirement, they've presented you with all of the requirements, and you've actually figured that this is the ideal property for them based on their requirements, and you've viewed them, you've gone multiple times over there, it fits and ticks all the boxes. Then it's time for you to ask them that, since this kind of property ticks all the boxes, then shall we just go ahead and present an offer? And then choice close. If appropriate, give two possible outcomes or two positive options. Would you prefer a 1 year payment plan or upfront payment for a better price? In either case, you know that the client is going ahead, but present these two options to them. This is a great technique, and this can work in many different forms of sales techniques, and this works perfectly for us in the field of real estate. So don't ask them, would you like to go ahead or not? Give them these two choices. That's as if there's no third choice. We're not right now sitting over and discussing, would you go ahead or not? No, we've established the fact that you are buying this property. We've established the fact that you are booking this unit. What we now need to decide is, are we going to go and are we going to go with the upfront payment to try to get a price benefit, or we want to go in with the payment plan that we are being offered? That's the only decision that we need to make. So we don't need to now go back into the first level discussion of buying or not. So these are some of the closing strategies that you can utilize. Overcoming last minute hesitation. There are a lot of strategies that we can use for the final mile. Some clients get cold feet even after positive signs. Our job as advisors that we reaffirm value and address any new doubts in their mind. For buyers, this may mean revisiting their core motivation. For example, remember this investment will generate the rental income you wanted because there is no capital gains tax on your profit. Or you remember you came up to me and you sold your asset back in your country and you were really keen on entering this particular market and you wanted to go with a top tier developer and you wanted a specific unit with a certain view that we were not easily going to get. Now that we are able to acquire it, now that we've got our hands on the right unit with the right developer within the budget we want, and it's going to give us the outcome that we want. You wanted to buy this property to resell upon handover for a hefty profit, or you wanted to buy this property for your family to use as a holiday home whenever you visited Dubai. So now that our requirement is being fulfilled, then what exactly is stopping us from making that move forward? Please tell me about it. So this will help me understand what we can do better for the next time. So these kind of last minute hesitations can be overcome by you stressing to the client that all that we ask for and all that we require is actually being fulfilled and our purpose is being fulfilled. Remember when we spoke previously, when we talk to clients about property investment, it's not just about the how or the when, it's also about why. That's the most important question. Why are they looking to invest? We've identified that, we've found them the right property, we've figured out the solution to their problem. What is stopping them from going ahead? For sellers, it may mean outlining the consequences of delay. Market could soften. For example, you were also looking to acquire a new asset, or your family wanted to move into a different location, or there might more units might come onto the market for sales. Now that we've gone through the cycle, we've identified a good buyer, profile is good, we are going to go ahead with the transaction. There should be no reason to get cold feet. Negotiating the close. Often closing involves negotiating terms such as price, move-in dates, minor repairs. All of these elements need to be looked into. So you got to make sure that we as advisors remain calm and solution oriented. For example, if a buyer says, I'll only take it if X is fixed, I'll only take it if the kitchen is converted from open to closed, I'll only take it if the entire apartment is upgraded in terms of the flooring, or I'll only take it if this villa they update the backyard and add a pool to it. There are certain elements that buyers might throw in with their offer. We as advisors should be prepared to negotiate that with the seller. Not every element is going to be accepted, but if a buyer is putting that as a term and condition in order to negotiate, put that to the seller and tell them, look, they're not asking too much on the price, they're not asking too much in terms of timeline, they're okay to transfer. I've shown it to them multiple times, I've shown it to multiple other buyers as well, but no one has given me an offer as good as that. The next best offer that I have is going to be this much lower than what this buyer is offering. All they're asking is that you fix this element. I think if you look at the costing and the time input that you'd give into this, it's a win-win situation for both you and the buyer. So let's go ahead with it. This is how you basically negotiate. So this overlaps with negotiation skills, but at the closing stage, the focus is to be on agreement. We want to come to a mutual agreement in order to move the deal ahead. And winning trust at closing. It's important to be it's important to understand that a confident and authoritative approach at closing helps clients commit. When everything is ready, when they have that 90-95% decision to acquire the property, to invest into that off-plan launch has been made, the last push, that last 5-10% hesitation is nothing but fear. It's not logical brain speaking, it's the emotional component talking. So it's just fear. So as agents, we as advisors, we need to be authoritative. We need to have the confidence. Of course, if it's the right asset. If it's the right asset, we need to have that confidence, and they are looking to us for that reassurance. If you're also hesitant at that point in time, and if you say, yeah, if you think it's the right thing to do, go ahead. If not, it's fine. Then that's not giving them the confidence. They are feeling that probably not the best decision, because the advisor who got me into this particular project doesn't seem too confident about it. So maybe the price is high, maybe the development is not good, maybe the location is not okay, maybe the unit is not fine, or maybe they don't feel confident. It doesn't seem like they would put their own money into it. So these are important elements that we need to focus on. So by confidently recommending that this is a sound decision, and I'll take you through all the next steps, or that this investment is going to reap us the benefits that we want it to reap, or this investment with this particular developer is great as the quality of the product is excellent, the timeline of completion is guaranteed, and we are essentially going to be able to exit the property when it's ready. These kind of reassurances are super important. This can instill the final bit of trust needed to sign on the dotted line. Always maintain ethical practice, guys. That's super important. Pressure tactics do not work in this line of business. And those ones, or the clients who have ended up buying under pressure, and the advisors who push their clients and pressurize them to buy the property, it's a one time transaction. You'll never really see them getting further referrals. You'll never see the client being happy with it. The decision that the client takes, yes, we are guiding them, yes, we are advising them, but it has to come from there. They need to be satisfied, they need to be content that this property investment decision was made by me with the right advice, with the right guidance of the experts around me, but this decision was made by me. And that is where we achieve a win-win close, where the client feels good about the outcome. So today we covered elements about closing techniques and gaining commitments. I hope you found this useful. If you have any questions linked to our day's session today, please feel free to drop them in the comments, and I'll be happy to personally answer them for you. Thank you.